Love after 60. When he does this, you already have him. 83% of men can't hide sign number 4.
Welcome to Wise Life After 60. So grateful to have you here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a man and wondered whether he was genuinely interested in you or simply being polite? You replay the conversations, study the tone of his voice, reread the messages he sends, and somehow you end up feeling both hopeful and unsure at the same time. Many women carry that quiet question in their hearts, especially in love after 60, when sincerity matters more than anything else. What most people never talk about is that emotional attachment isn't an accident. It's not something that happens because of charm or chemistry alone. It grows from the moments that make a man feel understood, valued, and emotionally safe. And men, especially at this stage of life, rarely say what they truly feel at first. Their hearts show long before their words ever do. There is one subtle behavior that reveals everything. When he does this, he's no longer just enjoying your company. He's already invested, already connected, already tied to you in a way he couldn't hide even if he tried. In this video, we are going to look gently into that hidden side of love, the part that no movie or dating advice ever truly explains. And before we begin, tap that like button and subscribe to Wise Life After 60 so we can keep walking this path together. Now listen closely, because men rarely express what they truly feel at first.
His emotional armor softens around you. There is a moment I've seen again and again in love after 60, and it always tells the truth long before a man does. It's that quiet shift when the emotional armor he's carried for decades begins to loosen, almost in spite of him. A man can hide his intentions, his words, even his plans, but he cannot hide the softening of his energy when his heart starts leaning towards someone. I once read a study from the University of Rochester that said men show emotional investment not through declarations, but through micro-relaxations in the face and voice. And I smiled when I saw that, because I've watched it happen in real life more times than I can count. The jaw unclenches, the shoulders drop, the tone warms. His eyes linger just a beat too long. He steps a little closer without realizing he has. None of it is planned, and he rarely notices it himself. A friend of mine, a widower in his 70s, told me he didn't know he liked someone until he caught himself laughing in a way he hadn't laughed since his wife passed. I wasn't performing anymore, he said softly. I just felt lighter around her. That is emotional surrender. That is the moment the man lets someone into the private space he usually guards. When a man lingers before leaving, that pause means something. When his voice turns gentle in the middle of an ordinary conversation, that softness is not accidental. Emotional armor doesn't fall off with noise. It loosens with safety, presence, and a quiet kind of affection he can't fully explain. And once it starts to soften, life has a way of unfolding in unexpected directions, revealing deeper truths than words ever could.
He begins to mirror you without realizing it. Have you ever noticed how some people slip into your rhythm without even trying? The way you speak, pause, smile, or choose a certain word, suddenly you hear it back in their voice. That is not coincidence. When a man begins aligning with your tone, your phrases, and even your emotional pace, it is one of the clearest signs that something deeper is forming. Mirroring is not imitation. It is the nervous system whispering, "I feel safe here." At this stage in life, men don't waste energy pretending or performing. The older we get, the more honest our subconscious becomes. And when he starts reflecting the way you talk or the calmness you carry, it means his inner world is syncing with yours long before he consciously realizes it. You may notice that conversations flow more smoothly, as if you're both breathing in the same rhythm. His humor starts resembling yours. His tone softens when yours does. His pace slows when you're thoughtful and becomes lighter when you are. This alignment isn't strategic. It isn't planned. It is a natural response to emotional comfort. The same kind of connection babies form with the people they trust most. Even in later life, the heart still remembers that pattern. And let me ask you something, just between us. Have you ever experienced this mirroring from someone and only realized the meaning of it much later? If you have, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. These moments often reveal more truth than the words spoken on the surface. When a man mirrors you, something rare is happening. His emotional current is following yours. His guard is lowering without force. His heart is quietly learning its way toward you. And from here, the path tends to deepen in ways he never expected.
He tests the safety of his feelings, not you. Something strange often happens right at the moment when a connection starts to feel meaningful. Just when warmth settles in and everything is flowing naturally, he suddenly becomes quieter, slower, or more distant. Many women misunderstand this shift, but the truth is far more tender than it appears. When a man begins to feel something real, his heart gets cautious. He isn't testing your worth, he's testing whether his own emotions are safe to follow. Men who have lived long lives, carried losses, and learned self-protection don't fall into vulnerability easily. So they move in a rhythm that looks inconsistent. Close, then far. Engaged, then retreating. Light-hearted one day, reflective the next. He may even tease you about something serious, watching to see whether you respond with steadiness or judgment. None of this is meant to play games. It's emotional calibration, a way for him to feel out the landscape before stepping into it fully. A woman I know shared a story about dating a widower in her 60s. The first evening he opened up about his grief, he barely spoke the next day. She worried he said something wrong, but later he admitted, "I wasn't pulling back from you. I was overwhelmed by how much I felt." His retreat wasn't rejection, it was the weight of his own vulnerability. But wait, there is a deeper truth many people never realize. When a man withdraws after revealing something tender, it often means the moment mattered far more than he expected. He steps back to find equilibrium, not to erase the connection. And once he senses that your energy remains calm and consistent, he returns with a softer openness, as if something inside him has quietly decided to trust again. He feels safe showing his imperfections. Something inside a man begins to shift when he no longer feels the need to look strong all the time. You'll notice it not through grand confessions, but through the quiet ways he lets you see the parts he normally hides. At this age, men don't open up because they want attention. They open up because their soul finally feels unguarded in your presence. When a man starts sharing the worries he carries on his shoulders, or the old memories that still ache, it's not weakness, it's trust. He talks about family tensions he never mentions elsewhere. He admits the insecurities he learned to mask in public. He lets you hear the thoughts he would never reveal in a crowded room. This is not something you can pressure out of him, and it's not something he gives without meaning. His honesty is a sign that your presence softens the space around him. What makes this moment so powerful is that men don't show their imperfections for approval. They do it because something inside them feels understood without explanation. They feel held, not judged. They can exhale in a way they rarely do with others. When he stops pretending to be unshakable, it means he no longer sees you as someone he must impress. He sees you as someone he can be real with. And let me ask you a gentle question. Has a man ever opened up to you in a way that surprised you, or revealed something deeper than you expected? If you feel comfortable, share your experience in the comments. Your story might give someone else the courage to understand their own. When a man feels safe enough to show his imperfections, the emotional path between you begins to widen, and from that moment on, the connection rarely stays the same.
Your calm regulates his nervous system.
Moments of quiet often reveal more about love than any declaration ever could. Watch a man closely in those soft spaces, and you'll see how deeply your presence affects him. When a man begins to feel emotionally attached, his nervous system starts responding to your energy in ways he can't fully explain. Your calm becomes the place where his tension melts. Men rarely admit how much they depend on emotional steadiness, especially later in life, but the truth is simple. A peaceful woman changes the entire atmosphere around him. When you're centered, he feels anchored. When you're unsettled, he feels it in his chest. Emotional resonance grows stronger with age, not weaker, because experience teaches us what truly matters. I once heard a woman in an online community share how her partner of 5 years, a retired firefighter, would walk into her home after a long day volunteering at the local center. She said he never asked for advice or solutions. He just sat beside her quietly, and within minutes, his shoulders dropped. "It's like being around you slows my heartbeat," he told her once. He didn't mean it poetically. He meant it physically. Her calm regulated him. Her presence steadied him in a world that still felt heavy at times. When a man experiences that kind of peace with you, something meaningful begins to unfold. He starts associating you with emotional relief, with rest, with the rare feeling of being able to breathe freely. Attraction may spark quickly, but this is the stage where attachment takes root. It's the shift from chemistry to connection, from curiosity to trust.
He moves toward you without pressure. A surprising clarity appears the moment a man's heart decides where it wants to rest. His actions begin to shift in quiet and steady ways, almost like a tide moving toward the shore. He no longer hesitates. He no longer waits for an invitation. His presence starts to weave itself into your life without force or expectation. What makes this phase so meaningful is that he advances toward you naturally, not to impress, not to win, not to prove anything. He moves forward because your presence gives his spirit a place to breathe. Plans start including you without any dramatic announcement. The small details you once mentioned become memories he tucks away and brings up with ease. This is not performance. This is alignment. The ancient philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, "Being deeply loved gives you strength, while loving deeply gives you courage." A man shows this courage not through bold declarations, but through steady motion. He reaches out on difficult days because you've become a soft place in a hard world. He responds with genuine thoughtfulness because his heart feels steadier when it is close to yours. He initiates not to chase, but to stay connected. It is one of the gentlest signs of emotional attachment, because nothing about it feels dramatic. Instead, it feels grounded, calm, and intentional. A man who moves toward you without being pushed is a man whose soul recognizes safety. He is no longer navigating from uncertainty. He is following the quiet pull of emotional truth. And once a man begins walking in your direction without effort, his steps rarely reverse. What begins as intention slowly becomes devotion, carrying both of you into a deeper, quieter kind of connection.
Your presence becomes his peace and his priority. A man's heart reaches its deepest point of attachment the moment your presence feels more like peace than passion. It's subtle at first, almost quiet enough to miss, but the signs begin to appear in the way he chooses you, even in the smallest moments. His language shifts, his decisions soften, his inner landscape reorganizes itself around the comfort he feels when you are near. What truly reveals this stage is the way he begins to guard the connection, not out of fear, but out of reverence. He becomes attentive to your emotions, noticing the changes in your tone or the hesitation in your smile. When a man's heart settles into safety, he becomes intentional with how he treats it. He avoids unnecessary conflict, chooses kindness over ego, and values harmony over pride. A man in this space doesn't want to win arguments. He wants to protect the atmosphere that the two of you share. You may also notice his language shifting from I to we without effort. He begins to think in terms of partnership. Your joy becomes a factor in his decisions. Your peace becomes part of his plans. It's a natural evolution, like a river finding its way home. As the Buddhist teachings often remind us, where the mind rests, the heart follows. His heart rests with you, and that is not a trivial thing. This is the point where love becomes a place rather than a feeling. A place he returns to mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The more he experiences that sense of peace with you, the more he prioritizes nurturing and protecting it. And once a man reaches this depth, the relationship moves into a softer, richer chapter. One shaped not by fear or uncertainty, but by presence, stability, and emotional devotion.
As we come to the end of this conversation, I'm reminded of how different love feels in this season of life. It isn't the rush, the mystery, or the fireworks we once thought it had to be. It's the steady presence of someone who makes the world feel softer. It's the comfort of being understood without having to explain yourself. It's the quiet knowing that a man chooses you not out of habit, but out of peace. All the signs we explored point to one truth. When a man's heart settles next to yours, it does so gently. His energy softens. His rhythm aligns with yours. He lets you see his imperfections. He returns after fear. He feels calm in your presence. He moves towards you
without force. And eventually, your presence becomes the home his spirit leans toward. Love after 60 isn't about chasing certainty. It's about recognizing connection when it finally arrives, often in the quietest moments of all. If this message touched you or reminded you of your own journey, I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to Wise Life After 60. Until next time, take care of your heart and spirit.